production of Kenneth Larnagan's play, Lobby Hero. We're very pleased to have him here at this table for the first time. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's good to have you here.
Yeah, thank you.
The idea that you wanted to do this thing came from where? From your experience in the Marines, from your experience in theater, from seeing some connection that other people hadn't thought about?
Basically, being at school from being in the military was the first time that I felt I was exposed, knowing nothing really about the theater community or culture or plays or playwrights or the characters in them. I was interested in high school, but and then left for the military. Then when I got out and went to school was really the first time that I discovered like Sam Shepard and David Mamet and found the language, how important language was. And since I just come from this military environment where there's an emphasis put on, acronyms for acronyms, but there's not so much about using your words to describe your feelings. And I was noticing a change in myself, how I felt less aggressive, and when I was able to, through plays, use my language more, and regretted not having that when I was in the military and wanted to share that with my friends, basically. So that was kind of the genesis of it, I guess.
And when you now share it with military friends, do they feel the same thing? Has it been something that was an instant kind of, Adam, you're right?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I remember I met them afterwards. I got out earlier, and I was in school trying to explain to them, I wear pajamas, and I talk about my feelings and acting school, and I could see that they were very apprehensive of what it is I actually did all day. But there was something about seeing something live and watching somebody live without a filter of a screen, or like people get the connection right away. And also because of the material that we pick, it's not Shakespeare or the Greeks, or not that there's anything wrong with that, but the Mamet or Denitra Vance, it's very accessible material that I don't think that to generalize the military culture is used to being exposed to. So the language itself, I think, breaks down the barriers right away.
Is this akin to what's been happening in some prisons in America? The use of theater there, in a sense, to engage and to give people introduction to theater in a different way.
Yeah, I think a culture, I think there's like a strong stereotype, which is odd since really the birth of theater was from a military environment. The Greeks, Aeschylus and Euripides in general, all these elected generals who wrote plays for a culture that was at war. Over the course of time, obviously been stereotyped that culture won't understand that they want to see, the Dallas cheerleaders or prisoners want to see something violent and aggressive. They won't being told that group of people won't respond to any kind of complexity or nuance and that you see in theater. It was insane to me. And so that hopefully we're trying to break that stereotype.
This is what you said to I think with Vanessa Grigoratis, who had been here to profile and have a conversation with me. You said, for me, becoming a man had a lot to do with learning communications, and I learned about that by acting. Emphasis in the Marine Corps isn't on talking about your feelings, but as I found myself being able to use my words, I became less aggressive, as you've just told us, as a person, less angry. I mean, it really is the liberation of being able to give voice to what you feel.
Right. And like doing it from playwrights who are way smarter than I am.
That's right.
Being able to, embody their language and suddenly through, and also the material resonates in ways that isn't so obvious. Of course, we could do Streamers, and which is a great play, but we try to.
Streamers, Tom Stoppard.
Streamers, David Rabe.
Oh, that's David Rabe. Yeah, right.
Which we do other David Rabe things, but we really try to focus away from a military themed and really show characters that are struggling through all the human problems that we all share that are not specifically military or civilian, and pick pieces that are diverse in age and race, like a military audience is, to accurately reflect them back. It's not civilians telling a military audience what it's like to be in the military. Not that people can't understand a different culture, but it's we're not going in with preconceived notions what people will respond to and what they don't. One of my favorite things, I'm rambling, but we did. Laura Linney read this monologue from China by Scott Organ. And it was about an employer reprimanding her employee for not wearing a bra. And afterwards, all the Marines we did at Camp Pendleton, was one of our first performances. All the Marines afterwards the male Marines were like, I thought the whole thing was good to go, loved the plays, understood what you guys were after. There's that one monologue about that woman, yelling at her employee for not wearing a bra that we thought was a little bit of an indirect attack on the way we do things in the military, that there's a point for structure and uniformity. And we thought you were kind of saying that, you're mocking our kind of the structure that we have in place for a good reason. And then the female Marines were leaving the audience being like, I loved it all, especially that one monologue because I know what it's like to be a female in a very male-dominated culture and to wear my hat or my hair under my cover.
I mean, how did you come to Juilliard?
I was interested in acting before I went into the military. Then really after September 11th, I feel like most people my age and at that time doing nothing, it was like working as a telemarketer and we're at the 4-H fairgrounds. I felt like I wanted to be involved and I wanted retribution and the Marine Corps to me was like the top of the pyramid as far as military service was. So I'm like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do that. And I want to be in infantry and I want to go all the way. But then when I got out of the military, I had kind of a false idea that, civilian problems are easy. We'll have to wait in line, like if I have to, that's the wrong, percentage of milk, like what are civilian problems that are easily manageable and solvable. So anything I want to do, I can do in the civilian world, which is an illusion. But at the time I had all this misconceived notions about,
Do you think that most actors would benefit from the kind of experience you had?
Yeah, a lot of the actors have no idea. They've never been in a military base, or their associations with the military culture is through film and television. I'm not to keep calling out Laura Linney, but one of the first things that she said was, I thought it was like the F Troop, but it's not at all. You forget that this is they're people, and these people have feelings, and they just happen to have a job where the stakes are really high.
If your experiences made you see acting differently.
Yeah, I think of acting as a service, I guess.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, as opposed to, obviously it's a very egotistical, or it can be egotistical, vain, seemingly unnecessary profession. But seeing it used as a tool, especially taking it outside of New York to people who have never been to a play or have never, you really, I feel, see firsthand, watching people see a theater experience for the first time and not knowing how effective live performance can be. Really, for me, even though acting is many things, a political act, it's a calling or whatever acronym, or not acronym, but adjective is applicable. But it is a service, and to use it as that takes the pressure off. I think in doing it also, because you're really just one part of a bigger thing. The same thing is a military unit. You're one role in a larger machine. If you don't show up, then things aren't going to happen. And it's the same thing. If you're not there to support your partners or the people that you're with, then what is it? What are you doing? I guess it's given me less tolerance. For things like that, where it's not a team effort, or it's
less tolerant for people who don't appreciate the team and the mission.
Yeah,
that it's a shared goal.
Yeah, everybody's decided. Someone's paying a lot of money for a lot of people to be in one place at one time to tell some story that hopefully is bigger than any one person. Hopefully it's worth it. Better be worth it. And that's how I think I took that from the military too. Everyone's away from their families. Whereas acting, you're pretending to be in life or death circumstances, and acting, you are in life or military, you are in life or death circumstances. It better be for a good reason, I guess. And why take it lightly? I guess that's.
I think that's part. There are those, and we know the stories in terms of suffering from some kind of depression coming out because they missed that aspect.
For sure, yeah.
Of what their life has been.
Yeah. and I think also, it's just speaking from my own experience, you're aware of what you can do in a day. You have so much, in the military, your day is structured, and at the end of it, you're always like, okay, all the things that I've done.
Yeah.
Then when you go back to civilian, we're like, where can I plug in all this energy? You know, I'm 23 or 24, I have all this, like, you know, I'm strong, I'm healthy, I want to do something. I want to, you know, looking for that kind of discipline and structure, and there's not a lot of places you can put it, especially if you're an infantry Marine or in the infantry. How are you going to apply that to where a lot, you know, like the business world is going to give you a shot and not think that you're going to, you know, flip out because you were in the military for no reason.
Do you have any regret about leaving the military?
At first, yeah, I didn't complete it, and I didn't complete it
with
with
a medical discharge.
Yes, I didn't complete with the people that I was with. I think about that still, but now I'm like used to civilian life. It's great, you know. You continue to, and through
So
this,
what's great about civilian life compared to military life?
well, just the freedom, obviously, you can do what you want to do.
The lack of someone deciding what you're going to do and spend every minute of your time.
Yeah, and also, and as far as this, trying to continue your service, you don't have to worry about the bureaucracy of like what your rank is in comparison to trying to get something done.
For those who haven't seen Girls, tell us who Adam Sackler is.
Adam Sackler is a rhinoceros who runs full force at something until he gets bored or distracted, and then turns and can only see what's right in front of him. And he's Lena's boyfriend, Hannah, on the show.
Right.
Who kind of over the course of 6 seasons, we just finished it a couple weeks ago, kind of evolves into this being more committed and doubled down to being an actor, and you know, back and forth in his relationship with Hannah.
And how about The Force Awakens? How did that happen?
I had done a movie Lincoln that Kathy Kennedy was the producer on, and she recommended me to JJ, and JJ had only seen Girls, and I flew out to LA and met him at Bad Robot, and we talked about the character. There's no script, there's nothing, you know, and kind of gave me a general sense of it, and then it was months of thinking about it, and yeah, like a month after it, they said, "Do you want to do it?" And I wanted to think about it for a long time. And
now, why did you have to think about it?
Well, I mean, there was no script, and I think more so just the idea scared me a lot. You know, I was a fan of those movies, and you know, it's like a big Hollywood kind of thing. And
but were you thinking, I'm not sure I'm up to doing this, or were you thinking, I'm not sure I want this because it may take me a place that I really didn't want to go?
No, I never thought of where it would take me. I thought of what if the stakes are so big, what if I get there and I have no ideas, and it's going to be bad, that I'm going to be bad, and sink it, mostly just because of failure on such a big scale like that is a terrifying idea.
But it's also given you a huge profile now.
Yeah. Well. Yes, it's definitely made things easier for AITAF, which is good.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that. Of course. I mean, you know, hello. Then you got Adam Driver on the line.
Right. Yeah. Then you also have to fight for the right kind of money, because it's a tricky thing to donate. Obviously, the arts is always tricky to raise money for, because it's not like data-driven philanthropy, especially when people want to support worthy causes like, you know, supporting PTSD. We're not saying give us $100 and that'll go towards it'll go towards art, and the benefit may not be immediate, but it might be down the road. But that's easier. But I lost your question.
Well, no. I mean, tell me about Kylo. Do you see anything? I mean, how did you see him?
Well, this is also, I guess, tied into why I decided to do it. It was because it was JJ, and because I was expecting Hollywood movies. Obviously, I have a strong chip on my shoulder that it's a lot about spectacle and not character, and it's.
Well, it is.
But not. I would say with. The first words out of JJ's mouth were story and character, and the spectacle of it will be secondary, and that will give you something nuanced to play, and hopefully not something that's generic. That their relationship is what the idea of parents and fathers, and
well, that's true with Spielberg too.
What's that?
The sense of story and father, parent and father, and seeing stories in terms of of the perspective of relationships and
Right.
character.
And for some reason, studios don't see that
Yeah.
is what makes those movies have a long life. They're interested in short lives, not something that has like a long-lasting impact. You know,
Has all of this changed your ambition in any way? And I mean ambition in the best sense of the way. I mean, clearly ambition, what you're doing here is ambition.
Yes, sometimes it's ahead of me where I think that, I mean, the fact that I'm sitting here at this table talking to you is about a nonprofit, you know, that we started 6 years ago at Juilliard is way ahead of what I imagined. And sometimes you just knowing that the attention is on you sometimes I don't feel yet comfortable with or even being a spokesperson or cheerleader for any kind of cause. I never imagined that something like that would be my life or I would be comfortable doing it. So sometimes I'm like getting more comfortable to it. I don't know if that answered your question.
But my point too, though, is with your fame, or
Yes.
whatever that's the word,
Right.
And high profile, but it is popularity and fame. With that, can you do more for this nonprofit?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Just because people, even though whereas before they're like, what is it, theater? Now it's like, okay, we're fans of Star Wars,
Yeah.
but you can come here.
Yeah.
Also, what I was saying earlier about fundraising, though,
Yeah,
like,
you can come here.
You have to take the right money from to feel like you can sleep well at night. Because like, well, what's this nonprofit? Sure, but come down to our bank and take a picture with my daughter. And like,
yeah.
No. Why, does anyone want to support the cause? You know.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going toward in the future, making it less about me and my telling a group of people that they are not can't intellectually understand a play is absurd to me.
Exactly.
And keeping that away from people that generally won't have exposure
Because you can connect it to your own life.
Right,
It is
yeah,
about
yeah.
all the basic emotions you
Of course, yeah.
guys, men and women in the Marines feel.
Right. Yeah. And again, we have like Tony Kushner and all these great writers. Hearing their language, it's hard not to make the connection to what's great about and what's terrible about and what's difficult about being a human, and being alive. And there's no other community, right? Specifically the military, where those stakes are just so high. Everyone's away from their families and needs a way to process.
Thank you for coming.
Thank
Great
you.
to have
Thank you so
here.
much for having me.
Adam Driver, back in a moment. Stay with us.